Hello everyone, my name is Abby Bliss White and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing my top 10 clean girl aesthetic perfumes. If you are somebody who likes to smell fresh and clean, if you're looking for that perfect clean girl perfume, then you are going to want to check out this video. I have been on the hunt for the perfect clean girl perfume and basically picked up several amazing fragrances. All of them are going to have slight variations. There's probably going to be something for everyone in this video, or at least I tried. So if you are interested in hearing about my top 10 clean girl aesthetic perfumes, then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, if you are new to my channel, I am somebody who loves perfume. It's sort of my thing, and I love all sorts of genres, but I always come back to wanting, that perfect everyday kind of clean girl perfume, especially as the seasons change. I find myself gravitating towards kind of those fresher, cleaner fragrances, and I'm always on the hunt for the perfect one. I will give you a heads up that me and musk do not always mix. Musk is often a note that is associated with those kind of fresh, clean fragrances, and that's a note that can be tricky for me. So that is why I'm always on the hunt for my perfect kind of fresh, clean girl aesthetic perfume. And I often laugh because sometimes I just want that like Dove soap in a perfume smell, like that kind of fresh out of the shower smell. And I want to start first with a perfume that smells just like that, like fresh out of the shower. It is from Jones Road. This is called Shower, and pretty much the name says it all with this perfume. This is your fresh out of the shower smell. This one to me definitely smells like, fresh out of the shower, but it also has a little bit of that kind of fresh laundry smell. So as we are going through all of these perfumes, some may be a little bit more like a soapy note, some may be a little bit more of a clean linen or laundry-esque, and then there's others that I just think are like kind of you but better, just they smell clean and fresh, maybe a light floral in there. And to me, Shower actually has like a little touch of, coming out of the shower, you definitely get that feel. Clean, a little bit soapy, but it also has kind of a little bit of this cottony laundry smell, and it also has like an aquatic note in here that I'm smelling, kind of a ozonic smell here. But this first one is going to be your like perfect everyday, more affordable, fresh, clean fragrance. This again is one, pretty much all the ones that I'm showing you today are going to garner compliments. I think that's just the genre. I tend to get the most compliments on fragrances that are a little bit fresher or more sweet. That's what I find for my body chemistry, is that the ones that are always complimented are those little lovely freshies. So the top notes in Shower are grapefruit and sea notes. So yes, there's definitely some sort of kind of aquatic note in here. The middle notes are neroli and orange blossom. I think you will see a little recurring theme throughout these perfumes where neroli plays a role. That's one that can smell kind of soapy fresh. Orange blossom, very uplifting. And then the base note in here is patchouli, and patchouli is a note. I know people think they don't like patchouli, but patchouli can be a super clean note. I find that patchouli can be either kind of earthy or very clean, and in this particular combination. This is going to be uber squeaky clean. Just a really nice everyday, fresh out of the shower scent. I would definitely get your nose on this one. I just don't really see a lot of people not liking this one. A very easy wear. Okay, the next one I'm a little bit excited about. This is from Bredo. This is Blanche, and this is the new Absolute de Parfum version. I was so excited to pick up a bottle of this. Now, this is my current go-to kind of clean girl scent. I just picked this up, and this one is going to open with aldehydes. Now, aldehydes is another note that is going to often be in these kind of more clean girl scents, and that's because aldehydes can kind of open up with sort of this effervescent fizziness. Definitely a blast of aldehydes when you first spray this out. Now, I have gone through a bottle of Blanche in the past, and to me that was definitely like my soap perfume, and the original one, I still really like it, but it did have almost a touch of screechiness is what I would say. It just had a little bit more of a sharpness to it, whereas the Absolute version is just a little smoother, if that makes sense. It definitely still has the Blanche DNA in it, but it is just a little smoother. It's like they rounded out the edges in this new version. Now, this one has this crisp, clean freshness that I love. As this dries down, it becomes a little bit like warmer and comforting on the skin. It is still just a complete freshie. I like to describe this one as fresh laundry coming out of the dryer. Like if you have just cleaned your sheets and you put in your pajamas in there and they are coming out very fresh, kind of slightly warm, and you put them on your body and it just smells clean and fresh, but there's that sort of soft comfort level. That is what I would say the dry down of this Blanche is. And to me, the original seemed like I smelled it and I just thought soap, whereas when I smelled the Absolute, I sort of got a little bit of that fresh kind of soapiness, but I also got this comforting kind of laundry smell. So it's kind of, again, a little hybrid between those two. But this one is still definitely a freshness, but has just a teeny bit of softness in it, if that makes sense. So if you're looking for a little bit more of that crisp sharpness, I would say go with the original. If you liked Blanche, but it seemed to be just maybe a little tad bit sharp, you wanted a little something a little more soothing, I would definitely pick up the Absolute. And the top notes in Blanche Absolute are aldehydes, neroli, and black pepper. So you're definitely going to get a little bit of that kick from the black pepper. Then in the middle notes, you definitely get a little solar flare in here. That's with jasmine, violet, and rose. And then in the base, you get musk, abroxan, cashmerean, and cashmere wood. I think maybe that's it. When this dries down, I really appreciate a woody note to kind of ground a fragrance. I definitely am smelling that kind of comforting woodiness in the base. This is just beautiful, and the way I would describe this is more of like a crisp white button down perfume versus like a little bit more casual of a white t-shirt perfume. This one's just a little bit more elevated. I definitely feel like, you know, slightly starched shirt. You totally can wear any of these perfumes with your favorite white tee, but just kind of wanting to share kind of the feel that it gives me, and I definitely think of this as your perfect kind of crisp white button down perfume. This is the new one from Bredo, Blanche Absolue. This is another perfect clean girl aesthetic perfume, kind of like an it perfume at the moment. Okay, now speaking of aldehydes, another perfect perfume in this genre is from Chanel. This is 1957. This is from their Les Exclusifs line. This is just a masterpiece of a fragrance. This again is going to open with these sparkling aldehydes. This is definitely has that Chanel DNA in it, that kind of effervescent sparkling aldehyde opening that you smell in several of their perfumes. Now, the way I like to describe this perfume is that it smells more like a cotton ball. It has that kind of soft muskiness in here with just a little bit of florals. There's a teeny bit of sweetness in here, like a honeyed nuance in this fragrance. It definitely has that sort of jasmine rose combo that is in a lot of Chanel fragrances. Like Chanel number 5 definitely has that kind of soapy note in here. There's a touch of that in here as well, but it opens with that sparkling aldehydes. This one has a little soft floral in here. It's that beautiful kind of Chanel jasmine with a teeny bit of orange blossom. This perfume has a lot of this clean kind of musk in it. I would say it's like a slight jasmine musk perfume. There is a touch of vanilla in the base, so there's just like this little hint of sweetness in here. I'm not sure, I'll read the notes in a minute, but there's almost like a teeny bit of this honeyedness in here. I'm kind of almost getting like a little bit of like beige, if you're familiar with that. I love that fragrance because beige smells like Johnson's baby shampoo to me, and 1957 smells like a combination between soap and shampoo and then a big cotton ball. Like this big fluffy clean cotton ball, like a big fluffy cotton ball, just kind of that clean feeling. This one is very stunning. I think it's very chic. It is Chanel. I think it definitely has that Chanel DNA in it. To me, it is sophisticated and chic. But the reason I love this one is because, of course, you can knock around in your like soft favorite t-shirt in this, but you can definitely dress this up. It is another one of these that I would think of as a very like put together woman. Now, I also will admit that this was not like a love at first sniff for me. This was one that a sales associate had sprayed in the box. Like I had placed an order for some beauty at one of the Chanel boutiques, and when my box showed up, it smelled amazing, and they had sprayed the interior with 1957. And that is when I ended up being like, oh, I get it, because it just smelled kind of fresh and clean, a little bit sparkly, and now I have completely fallen in love with this one. But at first sniff, when I was smelling these in the store, it smelled a bit stuffy, a bit mature to me, and it was actually one of those that, you know, didn't quite feel like me, if that made sense. I think of myself as a little bit more carefree, fun-loving, and this felt a little like slightly stuffy and mature. But now I can't seem to get enough of this. This is one of these like when in doubt fragrance. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull out my 1957. This one does make me feel like $1,000,000. This is just a great everyday scent. Definitely signature worthy. That's what I would say. I could see somebody falling in love with this scent and this just being their signature scent. Let me give you the notes real quick. In the top, you're going to have white musk aldehydes, bergamot and pink pepper, and coriander. So a little bit of spice there. I definitely am getting a little bit of that in that opening, a little sharpness. And then in the middle notes, you have white musk, orange blossom, and jasmine. And in the base, you've got white musk, creamy orris, cashmerean, honey, cedar, and vanilla. So yes, there is a teeny pinch of honey in there. There's a teeny bit of sweetness in here. This is just a classic, stunning fragrance from Chanel. Definitely signature scent worthy. Okay, the next scent I have is Vallaya by Parfums de Marly. Yep, you'll see I have a nice big dent in this fragrance. To me, this is like the perfect white little dress perfume. Instead of your little black dress, this is going to be your perfect little white dress scent. Number one, I'm not sure exactly what is inside this, but this is definitely a compliment getter. Anytime I have worn this, it is just compliments galore. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to kind of get that with any of these. But this one in particular, there is just something, I think it leaves like a really beautiful scent trail in this fragrance, and it just, people are going to ask you what you are wearing. This has happened to me several times. This one too is going to open with those sparkling aldehydes, but this one has a little bit more of a citrusy, slightly fruity kind of opening in here compared to a few of these other ones. This has a little nostalgic touch of Lily of the Valley. I grew up back in the day. Lily of the Valley fragrances were all the rage. So I noticed that that was something that kind of had this little nostalgic note to it for myself. It's got a huge dose of musk in here as well. So this again is this kind of soft, fluffy, very clean fragrance. It is not too laundry-like. It doesn't fall into that camp. It's not too kind of a soapiness either. So one thing about Vallaya was it kind of opened up a little bit like strong on me. Like it kind of had this like aldehyde burst. Definitely I'm smelling some Abroxan in here, like very strong musky fragrance. But then as this softened up on the skin, it became very soft and fluffy and feminine. And again, just like your beautiful kind of perfect white dress fragrance. I do think of this as a bit more of an elevated fragrance. This has a presence to it. That's what I'm saying. Every time I wear this, I get like complimented on this fragrance. This has some citrus in here, some white peach. So there's a little bit of fruitiness in here. There is some vetiver, like a little bit of woodiness. Let me just read the notes to you. And this is a Quentin Biche masterpiece. Like he pretty much nails so many fragrances that I love. And you can definitely kind of smell his DNA in here if you know some of his other fragrances. That's what I would say. There is something that is addictive about this fragrance. The top notes in here are aldehydes, white peach, bergamot, and mandarin. So you definitely open up with a blast of like a little bit of a fruity aldehyde citrus burst. Then in the middle notes you have orange blossom, Petalia, lily of the valley, nymphiol, which is trademarked. I'm not sure what that is, vetiver, and mahonia. And then in the base you've got musk, Abroxan, Akigali wood, and a touch of vanilla. So to me, this one is a bit more sensual, dare I say, it's a bit more sexy than some of these other fragrances that I have talked about. That's maybe where this comes in. It's got a little bit of sensuality in here in the way that it kind of dries down, that I think is sort of unique within this genre. Because when I'm thinking of these clean girl aesthetic perfumes, I'm not always thinking of like sexiness or anything like that. There's many other perfumes for that, but this one is definitely feminine, a little bit sensual, and this is one that is definitely a crowd pleaser. For myself, I laughed. I had worn this one day and it was a little bit headache inducing. Clearly, I was going through a tear. I was wearing this like all the time. And that's what I'm saying about me and musk. Sometimes it works for me and other times it can make me a little headachy, a little kind of turn my stomach. And I did have a wear one time when I was wearing this that kind of happened to me. So thus I haven't been wearing it as much after that, but I can tell like today I could totally wear this and have that not happen. You know, it can be a snowball of effects from day to day, how things react with your chemistry. But this is one I would definitely get a sample of. Make sure to try it on your skin. You just never know how it's going to react. I say that about all these perfumes. It's always best to try before you buy because you never know. But I still absolutely love Vallaya. They did recently come out with an exclusive that I did go and sniff, but it wasn't an immediate love for myself. It did seem to have almost like a little wang at the top that I wasn't really keen on. I will have to do a deeper dive on that one. But between the two, I was definitely going to stick with the OG Vallaya. Definitely worth getting your nose on. A real pretty little white dress. Okay, the next clean girl aesthetic perfume I want to talk about is from Maison, Francis Kurkdjian, and this is 724. Now, I was so excited when this launched. This is going to be in the clean laundry camp. And I don't say that in a bad way at all, but when I first sprayed this on and smelled this, it just immediately took me to like fresh, clean laundry, like even like really nice kind of cottony sheets that maybe you'd put out in the sun to kind of let it air dry. That is what I'm getting from this fragrance. I love that 724 means you can wear it 7 days a week, 24 hours. Like it's just your perfect everyday scent. This again is going to open with some aldehydes. I find these ones to be not as sharp, but definitely have some of that clean freshness. It also has Calabrian bergamote. So it's got that citrusy, clean opening. In the middle notes, it's got Egyptian, jasmine, mock orange, and sweet pea. So this one has some very soft florals. And then in the base, you have got like a trio of musk as well as creamy sandalwood. And this one definitely is like your fresh, kind of almost squeaky clean, fresh scent. Let's say it is like super hot and you need something that is going to cut through the heat, like you just want to smell good. This is going to be that scent. This fragrance is definitely kind of going over to the laundry camp versus like the soapy camp is what I would say. So if you are somebody who gravitates more towards that laundry fresh smell, you are gonna love this one. To me, this one has similarities to Blanche, but I find this to be, you know, all of these are perfectly unisex, but I would say this one kind of falls right in the perfect kind of unisex freshy. I like to layer this one with other fragrances, like if I want to amp up the freshness of some of my florals, like maybe I put on a floral perfume and I'm feeling like it's too dense on me. This is going to lift it up. Like, that's another thing that I like to use these kind of clean freshies for, is to kind of layer on different fragrances. But this is basically like a perfect freshie. Both my husband and I enjoy this one. I tend to like to layer this one with other fragrances as well, but I could not do this video without mentioning this one, 724. Definitely one to check out. The next one is one of my personal favorites. This is Musk Therapy from Initio. This is like a little hug in a perfume. This is definitely going to be like a musky kind of powdery balm with a little fruity element in here. There is black currant in this one. Oh my God. Okay. This one was a love at first sniff. I literally do not have much left in the bottle. Like, this one is a very me fragrance. I could not get enough of it when it first launched. It was just like, oh my God, this is the perfect kind of fresh, comforting, powdery, just amazing scent. I should also mention that I am someone who enjoys a little bit more of feminine leaning fragrances, and I find this to be like the perfect sort of woody floral musk combination. So this one's gonna like blast you out when you first spray this on. It is like white musk, musk, and black currant, and you definitely get that little fruity touch. It also has bergamot and mandarin, so it's got this kind of sweet citrusy little touch to it. And then it's got this beautiful magnolia note in here. That might be it. It's got this just very subtle, pretty magnolia in here. Some creamy white sandalwood, and then Hédion. And Hédion is literally like, if you've ever tried any Initio perfumes, there is something that's very addictive about them. They kind of amp up the Hédion in the fragrances, and they are just like addictive. And this was one that I will say I was wearing during the winter months, and it just lifted my spirits. It felt like a little hug. This again was a complete little compliment getter. And then as the summer months came around, I laughed. You can definitely wear this year round, but I will say this one definitely leans more powdery musk, that I didn't like it as much in the warmer months. Again, it's just personal preference, but in the winter months, this just completely shined. Like, I think of this as like cashmere sweater, this just cozy, like the most luxurious cashmere sweater, a little hug. It just smells fresh, comforting, clean, with a little bit of citrus, a little bit of beautiful floral, just very addictive is what I would say. So of course I had to mention Musk Therapy, but again, for myself, this is like a perfect freshie in the winter months. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is a repeat purchase, and this is from Jo Malone. This is Wood, Sage, and Sea Salt. I literally had to buy this the minute it launched. My daughter and I were at Nordstrom. They had just launched this. It literally had the cutest little nautical, like little rope tie on the top of this. We sprayed it on ourselves and we're kind of walking around shopping. We had to come back immediately, buy a bottle because we just completely fell in love with this. We whipped through that bottle. I have bought another one for my daughter, and then recently my husband and I were at the counter, and I was like, oh my gosh, I sprayed this on. I was like, I need to get another bottle of this. That's how much I love this scent. Now, this is more of an aquatic, fresh scent. There's definitely a little like bitiness or a little bit of a mineral sea salt bite to it that I love. I definitely find this to be very aromatic, perfectly unisex. It's just kind of like a perfect Jo Malone scent, meaning it's easy to wear. I know that so many people get upset about the longevity of her colognes. When she launched way back in the day, her fragrances and perfumes were all meant to sort of layer and mix and match. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so I just feel like it is completely in line with her brand, but this one, I think it's one of their best sellers. That's how good this scent is. The key notes in here are ambrette seed, sea salt, and sage. So this is not going to be a super complicated kind of scent. This is just this great kind of woody, fresh scent. It is not too feminine. It is not too masculine. To me, it is just like the perfect mixer scent as well. This one I love to layer on a lot of different scents. Again, this is going to lift anything up. It's got some earthiness in here, just a touch of woodiness that I feel like balances any scents out. And this is one that I love to mix with LABO Santal 33. That one to me, I feel like feels a little dense on my chemistry, but if I layer on wood, sage, and sea salt on top, it literally just kind of lifts it up, just like when you sprinkle salt on your meal and it just brings it to life. Like it may feel a little bland or blah. That's what this perfume does. It is going to just like add a little of that sea salt to any of your perfumes and just kind of lift them up and amplify them and make them smell like 20 times better. It smells amazing on its own. This is one that my husband and I share together, but this one I definitely think's amazing. Also, the body butter or the body lotion of this together, if you are looking for a little longevity, that will do the trick. It smells amazing. The cream alone, if you don't want to invest in the perfume, also smells incredible. But again, when I think of like a really great kind of unisex, freshy, slightly aromatic scent, I'm going to suggest Jo Malone, the wood, sage, and sea salt. Okay, another brand that I feel like does really great fresh fragrances is from Diptyque, and I finally picked up Le Papier. This was one of these fragrances that I kept on going back to the counter to see if I needed to pick it up. I have so many perfumes that I kind of am at a point where if I do not get some like immediate reaction to the scent, like whether it's going to make my eyeballs roll back in my head or one that I keep on thinking about. And this was one of these fragrances that I kept on thinking about. I had sprayed it on and I was like, okay, I really like this. This is definitely a soft musky scent. It has this interesting, almost like comforting rice accord. It has a note of mimosa in here, which I really love, and I think mimosa also lends itself to being kind of a fresher, clean floral fragrance, but I just wasn't sure if this was me, if that made sense. I again tend to like something with a little bit more warmth in the fragrance. This felt a little like airy, almost a teeny bit like drier to me at the beginning, but then as this dried down on the skin, there is this sesame note. There's like this little nutty kind of rice accord in here that brings about something very comforting, very calming. So to me, Le Papier is you come out of your shower, you have just had like, you did all the stuff. You exfoliated your skin, did a little hair mask, you shaved your legs. You may have used some shower body oil, so you are feeling very soft, clean. You have just washed your sheets, like you are going to crawl into a fresh, clean bed. And this is just like comfort in a bottle. That's what I would say. Like, to me, if you want to de-stress, you have had a super stressful day, if you spray a little bit of this Le Papier on yourself, you are immediately going to calm down. You're going to have like a sense of come over you. And this one is just kind of a sleeper is what I would say. Is it's a definite like more of a skin scent for you to enjoy. I don't necessarily find this to, you know, give off any sort of scent trail per se. To me, this is like your perfect before you go to bed scent. I really love it. And yes, I do have Fleur de Peau. I was kind of going back and forth for this video, but for myself, when I really think about kind of that clean girl aesthetic scent, I'm gonna go with Le Papier. There's just something that is very comforting in here, and it's just gonna give you a big sense of just relaxation in a bottle. Definitely check this one out if you have not done so yet. Okay, we're down to the last two. I had to include this next one because when I think of sort of clean, like white fragrances, I definitely reach for this beauty. This is Creed Silver Mountain Water. This is definitely a unisex scent. I think this may be targeted towards men, but I actually have to tell you, my husband says this smells better on me than him, and I tend to agree. This has the Creed Clean DNA running through it. If you are a Creedy, you know what I'm talking about. There is a certain Creed DNA that they are just really good at making fresh fragrances. The name actually kind of describes this scent. It is as if you are out on a mountaintop. You are smelling fresh air. There is like a little creek that is like the water coming down. It smells like you have been outside is what I will say. So I live in the Pacific Northwest, and oftentimes, like if my husband has been out, maybe he was playing golf or hitting balls or something like that, but he's been outdoors in the elements here, and he comes back into the house and he smells like fresh air. Like he smells like he has just been out in the elements. You know, we have like beautiful kind of woody trees here. He smells like that. And that's what this fragrance to me, it smells like nature in a bottle. This is fresh. It's actually very elegant. It has a little tea note in here, and I think that may be what I love about this is there's this kind of a little bit of that kind of astringent tea note, but that smells so good, but it's very well balanced. So the top notes in here are going to be citrusy. It opens with that bergamot and mandarin. To me, it opens up like the classic Creed DNA. Then in the middle notes, you've got that green tea and black currant. There's a little bit of fruitiness in here, but there is that little touch of astringency from the green tea. And then in the base, you have musk, petitgrain, creamy sandalwood, and galbanum. So there is a teeny bit of like this powdery touch in here. This one, the bottle, just everything about the name kind of describes the scent, but this is a great, fresh, clean nature scent that I cannot get enough. It is something that I grab for, again, like if I'm wearing a top like today, I don't know exactly what I want to wear. I actually keep this in my bedroom because this is one of these scents that is sort of my, you know, when in doubt, put this on. You're going to smell clean, fresh. Just love it. Silver Mountain Water by Creed. Definitely one to check out. Okay, then last but not least, I finally got my hands on LA Musk K, and this is the new bottle that they just launched. So it's a little bit different. In the past it was more of like a kind of matte white. Now it is actually a kind of frosted glass white, so it's kind of great because you can see how much of the fragrance you have gone through. It was funny because a local store here sells LAK. I went in, I sprayed this on. I was like, ooh, I really like this, but let me think about it. I have so many of these kind of perfumes. I immediately was wearing it and just kind of fell in love with it. I went back and the last bottle had just been sold, and then it just like sold out all over the place. And I think that there was some issue with packaging is what I was told, but it has come back in stock. I see it at retailers now, but this was like a long awaiting time, so of course it made me want it even more. But to me, this is my perfect musk scent. It is not too laundry, it is not too soapy. I will say this is definitely a little bit more powdery, a little bit more feminine, a little bit more pretty, and I just love it so much. It definitely is going to be your clean girl scent. So this one clearly is going to have a big dose of musk in it. It says it in the name, but this does open up with a little pink pepper. It also has notes of iris, sand lily, and vetiver, and then in the base you've got musk and cedar. And out of all of these kind of fragrances, I did notice the ones that tend to work best on myself are the ones that have a little bit of that woodiness in the base, like a little cedar or some sort of woods in it to kind of temper the musk. Then, of course, since I'm somebody who likes a little bit more of a feminine leaning fragrance, I love like the little florals that come into play. And this one just smells like pure luxury to me, but this is like the kind of scent that I can throw on my favorite white tee with my jeans and my flip-flops. I can dress myself up in this fragrance with a more crisp white button down. I can put on a pretty sundress and a hat and spray this on. It is just like my perfect musk scent. I'm so glad it finally came back into stock. This was one that was on the brain that I kept on thinking about. And then of course I got FOMO once I couldn't get it and it was out of stock everywhere. I had like kind of hyped it up in my mind that this was going to be my perfect scent, but I'm happy to say that when I did pick this up, I was so glad that I did. I think it is beautiful. I really have to say that this was a harder video to film than I thought because I kind of wanted to add in something for everyone is what I was trying to do, because there's so many of these kind of fresh, clean fragrances, and there was so many that I did not include. I thought about my LABO, another 13, Bergamote 22. These are two other freshies that I love. I debated about bringing in Orphéon. That's another one of those that I consider a fresh one. And then when I was talking about 1957, beige is like my shampoo clean scent, but this definitely leans a little bit more floral. So there's going to be variations of these kind of clean girl aesthetic scents. As usual, I love to hear from you. Let me know what your favorite clean girl aesthetic perfume is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back with another one soon.